Black American ancestors who were enslaved primarily for their brilliance, for their mind, for their intellect, is a story that's not often told, where we often hear about how our ancestors were enslaved for their physical labor, to pick cotton, to pick tobacco, things like that. Very rarely are we told stories about our ancestors being enslaved for their mind. Throughout the month of February, I'm highlighting Black Americans who were enslaved for their intellect. Today, I want to talk about a brother, and I need to pronounce his name correctly, so bear with me.
Olaudah Equiano.
Olaudah Equiano. He was born in 1745 in what is now known as Nigeria. And he was kidnapped and enslaved at the age of 11. And he basically endured that dreaded voyage that we call the Middle Passage. It's a voyage that a lot of our ancestors did not survive. It was a brutal voyage from Africa to North America. And he was purchased by an enslaver in Virginia. Now, by him being purchased at the late age of 11, he was able to remember his real name, and he was able to remember that he was born in the Igbo region of what is now known as Nigeria. But while he was enslaved in Virginia, he was primarily used as a domestic servant in the house, cleaning, doing chores inside the house. And as time would go by, his enslaver from Virginia sold him to a British naval officer. This is where things begin to really get interesting for Equiano. Originally on the boat, he did the basic tasks that one would do on a boat. He would haul ropes, clean the decks, assist with general maintenance of the vessel. But as time would go by, he would pick up skills as a sailor. He learned to navigate, he learned how to handle sails and perform other maritime duties. And because of this, he became that British naval officer's personal assistant. And along with doing all of the tasks that I just said, he also engaged in financial transactions for and on behalf of his enslaver, this British naval officer. And he did very well for this officer. This officer then sold Equiano to a Quaker who lived in the Caribbean islands. And this Quaker was also a merchant. And this Quaker used Equiano for commercial activities. And being enslaved for this Quaker, it gave Equiano insights into the commercial world. While he was still enslaved to this Quaker was, let's say, a kind enslaver. Equiano would work for his enslaver from can't see in the morning till can't see at night. And after Equiano did everything that his enslaver asked of him, his enslaver would allow Equiano to go out and engage in trade on his own. And he allowed him to keep whatever money that he made, keep 100% of it. And that's rare back then. Well, Equiano did this for years. And here is what's really awesome. Equiano asked to purchase his own freedom. His enslaver said yes. Now, you have to understand that the price of a slave was based off of his age and his skill set. In 1766, at the age of 21 years old, Equiano negotiated a price for himself of 40 British pounds and purchased his own freedom. And just to let you know how much that is, in today's dollars, that's $11,031.49. Back then, slaves of Equiano's value was being sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. So for him to negotiate a price of $11,031.49 is outstanding. But this is not where the story ends. This is where the story begins, because Equiano travels all around the world once he gets his freedom, including all over the Mediterranean, the Arctic, and the Americas, including the United States. Now, when I say the Americas, that's North and South America, including the United States. And when he would come to the United States, he would often go to Philadelphia and speak with the abolitionists, all of the freed black men up there. And this is important because after a while, Equiano decided to settle down in Britain. He didn't decide to stay in America. He moved to Britain. And once he got into Britain, he wrote an autobiography. And this autobiography was so impactful. It was one of the factors that led to the passage of the British Slave Trade Act of 1807, which abolished the trade in the British Empire. This is decades before blacks in America was free. Outstanding, and I could go on and on telling you things about this man, but his autobiography is available today, and I encourage you to read his biography. New Being 1619, we innovate or we dissipate. Peace.
New Being 1619 is a niche social media platform built for Black culture and for Black needs, so that we can live our best lives. New Being 1619, we innovate or we dissipate.